Welcome to part 2 of my crystal collection video series, where I'll be going through my crystals shelf by shelf for each video. And I explained in the first video the methodology of how I'll be going about showcasing my crystal collection, so if you haven't seen that first video, go ahead and click off this one, go watch that one, then come back, because this is sort of like a continuation of that video. And so with that being said, let's just jump right in. So I'm going to start with my agate small egg with quartz. This is also from Brazil, like the rest of my agates I showed in my last video. Hopefully the video can record and pick up the little red veins that run throughout the crystal, because I think that's just a very interesting feature of this agate. So next is a very special, unique piece within my crystal collection. This is Golden Spray Celestine. Now, those who know a thing or two about crystals might have an idea about the Celestine, which looks like the blue Celestine geodes. However, I don't think a lot of people know about this particular variation of Celestine, and that's probably because it's just a lot more rare. This piece in particular was mined in 1984 in Poland, and was actually part of a famous collection, the M&G Bachmann collection. So this piece was actually on museum display for a time, and I actually got this from a dealer in Poland whose wife has her own private collection in a museum. Well, he has his own sort of specimen auction business, and this was not cheap by any means, but definitely worthwhile because it's just unique, you know, and it's really fragile. It better not break. I better not break it or have my cats knock it over, because yeah, it will just shatter. And I don't think you can find a lot of these sort of golden spray Celestine pieces anymore. Now next here I have my Candy Fluorite Small Tower B. So you might be wondering and asking yourself, what's with the B tacked on to the end of that title? That's just the way I categorize them when I have more than one. So in this case, B refers to the fact that this is my second Candy Fluorite Small Tower that I had purchased. And it won't be the last time you see this come up. I have more than one of other things in my collection as well. And so fluorite comes in so many colors, and Candy Fluorite basically is just a market trade name for carved and polished fluorite that has zoning colors that clearly are defined and separated from each other instead of being sort of blended together. If I had a working UV black light for minerals, I would show you why this material, this crystal, got its name, fluorite, because it got its name from the effect of fluorescence. So not to say that it's the only crystal to do so, have a fluorescence to it, but it is famous for the study and understanding of fluorescence, which allowed the invention of what we call fluorescent lighting. Fluorite can be found basically all over the world, but I'd say the most famous locations that have been mined have been ones in China. They produce exquisite fluorite specimens. Now then, we move on to my blue tourmaline with lepidolite growth specimen. Tourmaline is more abundant when it's black. However, it does come in different assorted colors, sometimes even multiple colors in one crystal. The colored versions and variations are just a little bit more rare, but I think all are pretty. I like all tourmalines, especially the way that they shine from the whole length of the crystal. And when it comes to this piece in particular, this one's a combo specimen actually from Afghanistan. And it's a combo piece because of the lepidolite, so hopefully you could see at the bottom here the lepidolite. I'm not too sure. It's really light purple, so I don't know if it's going to really show up when recording, but it's there. And what lepidolite is just purple mica. So yeah. Then next we have my copper rutilated quartz freeform, which means it's just clear quartz with rutile inclusions. And rutile in and of itself is a whole separate crystal. It is one of the 5 forms of titanium dioxide quartz that's found in nature, which is why it has this sort of metallic shine to it. And the colors that rutile comes in is red, yellow, and gray. But because of that metallic sheen to the rutile, these colors resemble copper, gold, and silver. So even though it's called copper rutile, it isn't actually copper, and neither is the gold or silver really gold and silver. Up next is my Agate Mini geode pair with clear red druzy. If you had seen my first video, you'll remember me speaking on the geode agates that I got, which are from Brazil, and this is just another one that I have, and yeah. And then we get to my citrine freeform. So this citrine comes from Brazil. The two localities famous for citrine is the Congo and Brazil. I've already showcased the Kundalini citrine from the Congo in my last video, so again, if you haven't seen that one, go take a gander. But anyways, there are some pockets that have been found in South Africa and Morocco, and there's also some in Russia, but mainly it's the Kundalini Congo and the Brazilian citrine that's actually in the market, which is important to note so that you can ask the seller where their citrine comes from, because like I said previously, citrine is extremely rare and there are a lot of fakes out there on the market. And actually it's about 95% of what's out on the market as citrine is actually fake citrine. Even the jewelry, like the citrine that you get in jewelry, isn't natural. It's actually all pretty much lab grown at this point. Hopefully you watched my last video, my last crystal video, because then you'll know what Kundalini citrine from the Congo should look like. And this here is what Brazilian citrine looks like, with the coloring being like a honey, not really champagne but honey. And you'll most likely find it in free form or spheres or carvings like that, like very basic carvings. Now I'm going to show you on screen here the telltale signs of fake citrine, starting with the most obvious one, the most obvious version, which is this. And this type of citrine is always 100% fake, because no citrine comes in a geode. This is from a geode. None comes from a geode when it's citrine, because geodes are enclosed, which means the quartz is protected from the irradiation process which creates citrine. What this is just burnt amethyst. So what they do is they take low quality amethyst and literally shove it in a huge industrial oven, and they just cook it, creating this weird orange color that doesn't look at all like the color of citrine. You'll also see this version of fake citrine, which comes in a very vibrant bright yellow. Some people have referred to this yellow as pea color and that is how you can tell the difference, is that citrine is not ever pea colored, it's honey color. Also, this right here, this milky Mountain Dew greenish yellow, also is not citrine. Both of these types is just either dyed clear quartz or, more egregious, dyed glass. Using the scratch test will inform you when it is glass. If it's dyed quartz, you will also be able to probably see the pooling of the dye in the cracks of the so-called citrine, which is another telltale sign. Sometimes what they'll also do is they'll take smoky quartz or clear quartz towers and try to bake them that way. But you can also tell by the fact of the massive amounts of cracks at the bottom. The reason why there's so many cracks is because this is where it sits on the tray. And again, the coloring will just be off. So now you know what to look for, and just, again, be very, very wary and careful when buying citrine. Make sure that, I think beforehand, that you've bought from the seller a few times and they can be trusted to, sell quality crystals, real crystals, because like I said, there's a lot of scammers out there that are trying to, fleece you of your money, and citrine is in high demand, and like I said, 95% complete fake. So yeah. Now you know. Moving on to one of my most stunning and unique pieces in my collection, which is my gold red pyrite and sphalerite with snowball calcite growth specimen. Obviously it is a combo specimen, which comes from a mine in Kosovo called the Trepka mine. It's a mine well known to produce a variety of quality crystals and minerals, particularly minerals. So there are a few things I want to go over in regards to this piece, so I'll start with the pyrite. So I know you probably have heard of pyrite, or at least know about fool's gold, which is pyrite. However, I don't think many people probably would know about red pyrite, which is a rare occurrence, but it does exist. And the only difference between the two, the gold and the red, is the fact that the red is stained red. But it is basically still just the gold pyrite stained red. It's stained red due to the iron-rich soil that it comes from. So if it's in an area, in a pocket where the soil, is just rich with iron, what happens is it leaches into the pyrite because pyrite is porous, and so it stains it red, such as this. Next, I want to sort of go over the sphalerite for a bit here because there's some things I want to clear up. So, sphalerite. Sphalerite isn't like pyrite, even though it looks like a metallic sort of mineral. It is a crystal. It's a crystal that has a lot of mineral inclusions that it makes it sort of look metallic, black. It is a very soft, brittle crystal though. It is only a 3 on the Mohs scale hardness, and there's a particular reason why I state this. And want to tell you that, because being a 3, it is quite soft and quite difficult to carve, sand, polish, and all that. That's why it never is. And you may be thinking, wait a minute, I know sphalerite, I've seen it everywhere being sold, and it's always sold as carvings, like towers and such. Yeah, the thing is, I see it everywhere too, but this right here that I have on screen, this is not sphalerite. It doesn't even remotely look like sphalerite. And it's surprising how many sellers I see that should know better, because they are trustworthy sellers out there selling this as sphalerite when it's not. What this is unfortunately just low quality fluorite mixed with quartz and or calcedony. It's been tested. They've tested this material. This is not sphalerite. What has happened is that big industrial wholesalers from China have mislabeled it purposefully to try to move their low-grade product that they can't seem to get rid of. It's being bought dirt cheap in bulk, and being mislabeled on purpose with a actual crystal that isn't well known and sending it off onto the market. It's a scam. And like I said, unfortunately, a lot of people have still taken the scam to heart and have fallen for it. But trust me when I say this is sphalerite, not what you see on screen. That is not sphalerite. This is. And sphalerite, on rare occasions, comes in different colors depending on the occlusion. So there are times when you can find red to orange and yellow sphalerite that is transparent, so you can see through it. And so there's also an even rarer version of green sphalerite, which is very gemmy. In fact, recently they just found a pocket with sphalerite that is iridescent, and I will show you a photo on the screen. So this is a new find of sphalerite, which is really pretty and interesting, and that's just gorgeous. But the other stuff, that's the carved stuff, no, that's just not sphalerite. I'm sorry to tell you. And it makes me really sad that they keep doing this in the market, mislabeling or creating fakes and trying to scam, because it confuses people, and you shouldn't have to do that. Like, you shouldn't have to mislabel. You shouldn't have to try to try to sell it by lying to people. If it doesn't sell, don't buy it, right? Don't try to pass off fakes, like Just be honest. It's the dishonesty which really gets me. But anyways, the next we have the snowball calcite growth, which is, not unusual. I mean, calcite is abundant, comes in all colors, shapes, and sizes, and this one just resembles little snowballs, which is kind of cute. So yeah, that is actually the last of my second shelf of crystals. So look out for part 3, which I go over my third shelf on the first case that I have. So I will see you then. Bye!